Ever wonder, like when you're in the grocery store, just how much work goes into getting all that produce looking so perfect?
Right.
It's easy to forget there's a whole team behind those picture-perfect strawberries.
Absolutely.
So today we're diving deep into what it takes to lead those teams, those fruit production team leaders, thanks to this awesome guide from RoleCatcher.
It's a pretty fascinating field, especially now with the global demand for food just growing and growing.
Yeah, and it's way more than just someone who likes, I don't know, gardening in their backyard.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a lot more involved.
Like RoleCatcher's guide here, their what they do section, it's amazing how much goes into it. Scheduling, the whole growing process, even tech stuff.
It's true. When you're dealing with, fruits and all, you got to be on top of everything. Timing is key, meeting those market demands.
Right, because nobody wants a brown banana,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Plus, you've got weather, pests, all those curveballs.
Speaking of curveballs, let's be real for a sec. This isn't all sunshine and apple picking.
No, definitely not.
Long hours, especially certain times of the year, and based on the interview questions, RoleCatcher included, looks like you got to think on your feet a lot.
It's all about resilience, that's for sure. Imagine like a crazy storm messes up your harvest schedule, or some new bug threatens your whole crop.
Yikes.
You gotta stay calm, figure it out, and keep the team going.
So not for the faint of heart, but definitely not boring.
Definitely not.
And for those up for the challenge, RoleCatcher's Guide, they've got a whole career path mapped out.
Yeah.
Start as a fruit production assistant, then you can become a technician, then supervisor, all the way up to fruit production manager.
And as you move up, you need more expertise, more education, more responsibility.
Oh yeah, they even mentioned a fruit production manager with a PhD.
Exactly, because the industry is getting more and more complex.
Wow, so we're talking serious science.
Yeah, using data to get the best yields, making sure things are sustainable for the environment, even using like biotechnology to make tougher crops.
Wow, that's not your grandma's garden anymore. So you got to be a strategic thinker, a problem solver, a leader.
Absolutely. It's those soft skills, communication, teamwork.
Because you could know everything about growing fruit, but if you can't lead a team.
Exactly. And that's a big part of what RoleCatcher highlights in their guide, those leadership skills.
And their interview questions, those really test whether you've got what it takes.
Totally. Like anyone can say they're a good communicator, but how would you actually deal with a conflict on your team during the busiest time of year?
Right, put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly.
So we've established this is a tough job, lots of skills needed, but I'm curious, what's it actually like day to day? What are the highs and lows?
Great question, and one we're going to dig into as we keep going with RoleCatcher's insights.
Let's do it. So looking at this career ladder, where do you even start if you're like interested in this whole fruit production thing?
Well, RoleCatcher, they make it pretty clear usually you're starting at the bottom, right?
Okay, makes sense.
Fruit production assistant, that's where you're getting your hands dirty, learning the basics like planting, pruning, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so it's real hands-on experience.
Oh, absolutely. It's the foundation. And once you've proven yourself, you might move up, become a fruit production technician.
Okay, so more responsibility then.
Exactly. Now you're not just doing what you're told, you're starting to lead a little bit.
So what are the key skills at that level?
Well, RoleCatcher, they talk a lot about having a good eye for detail. You got to spot problems early on, whether it's, bugs, diseases, whatever.
Makes sense. Catch it before it spreads.
Exactly. And being comfortable with tech, too, that's huge now.
Oh, right. They mentioned that with all the data and stuff.
Yeah, even at that level, you're monitoring irrigation, tracking how much you're harvesting, even using software sometimes for pest control.
It's like farming meets tech.
Totally. And then as you get more experience, more knowledge under your belt, you could become a fruit production supervisor.
Okay, so now we're talking bigger leagues.
Right. Now you're in charge of multiple technicians, managing budgets, making sure the quality's top-notch, all while staying on top of regulations.
So you got to be a good leader by that point.
No doubt. In fact, RoleCatcher, they highlight this one supervisor who had a master's degree in horticulture.
Wow, so you're not just like a manager, you really know your plants.
Exactly. They were optimizing everything, even experimenting with new growing techniques.
Yeah.
You need the experience and the book smarts.
It really shows how important it is to never stop learning in this field.
For sure. And that brings us to the top dog, the fruit production manager. They're seeing the whole picture.
They're the big boss.
Right. From planting those seeds to getting the fruit packaged and out there, they're overseeing it all, keeping an eye on the market, thinking long-term sustainability.
And that's where that PhD level manager comes in, right? RoleCatcher mentioned them.
Exactly. They need that deep knowledge to tackle the really complex stuff, like using data to improve things, dealing with climate change, even working with scientists to make tougher crops.
Wow. From hands-on assistant to, like, science innovator. That's quite a journey.
It is. But, one thing stays the same throughout teamwork.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Doesn't matter if you've got a small team or you're running a huge operation, you got to communicate, collaborate, motivate people.
And that's where those RoleCatcher interview questions come in, right? They give you a peek into what that leadership really looks like.
Exactly. Time to peel back the layers and see what they tell us.
It's funny, right? We just kind of take for granted that there's going to be fruit at the store.
Right, like it just magically appears.
But there's a whole process, a whole system behind it. And it's way more complex than I ever realized.
Oh, for sure. And it's changing all the time, too, especially with all the technology.
Yeah, that's what I thought was so interesting about RoleCatcher's Guide. Like, they have a whole section on industry trends. It's not just about knowing how to grow stuff.
Yeah.
You got to keep up with the tech, too, or you're going to get left behind.
It's true. It's not just, tractors and stuff anymore. We're talking high-tech irrigation systems, sensors that can, tell you what the soil needs.
Right. It's like farming with data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all that data, it helps you be more efficient, use less water, less fertilizer, all that.
So it's good for the environment, too.
Absolutely. Sustainability is huge now.
Which makes sense, because we got to protect those resources if we want to keep eating fruit. Right?
Exactly.
RoleCatcher even had this example of a fruit production manager who was working with like a university research team or something. They were trying out some new disease-resistant berry. It's like science and farming all mixed together.
It's the future of agriculture, really. And it's why that continuous learning stuff is so important. You got to stay up to date, attend those workshops, maybe even get certified in something new.
That's like you're always a student, in a way.
In a good way. RoleCatcher highlighted some organizations that do professional development specifically for fruit production, all levels.
Oh, cool. See, I never knew any of this stuff before we started this deep dive. I just figured you liked plants, you become a fruit farmer.
Right, but it's so much more than that. You're a leader, a problem solver, a data analyst, even a bit of a futurist, like you were saying.
And you got to be able to handle those tough interview questions. RoleCatcher, they didn't hold back.
Nope. They want to see if you can think on your feet, make decisions, handle the pressure.
Because at the end of the day, people are counting on you to get that fruit from the field to their table.
Exactly. It's a big responsibility, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, you're part of something bigger than yourself, feeding the world, literally.
That's what it's all about.
So to wrap things up, I guess what we've learned is fruit production, it's not just a job, it's a whole career path. And it's not for everyone, but if you're passionate, adaptable, always willing to learn something new, well, maybe this is the field for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And, hey, if you're ready to explore it further, RoleCatcher's got your back with their awesome career guide and all those resources they mentioned.
Definitely check them out.
Until next time, everybody, happy growing.